More than 7 jets are now clearly visible, aligned in formation and firing from the object. AV Loeb has just released new imagery of these jets from 3I Atlas, and the scale of the vibrations is far greater than anyone expected. These aren't random flashes or loose debris drifting through space. The jets are razor sharp. Their motion is organized. And the data quietly suggests one thing. Something deliberate is happening. Loeb has raised this concern before, but this time the images speak louder than any scientific debate. Even longtime skeptics are starting to worry. So what do these new observations actually mean? To answer that, we have to follow the trail. There are nights when the sky seems to whisper an ancient secret. And the long-awaited return of 3I Atlas from behind the sun felt exactly like that. Weeks of silence broke as the first updated frames appeared. But instead of calming the controversy, they ignited it. In the composite images, 3I Atlas glows at the center like a solitary beacon in the cosmic dark. But what seizes attention are the streaks of light radiating outward. These aren't soft, cloudy tails we associate with comets. They are rigid, intense, almost defiant, cutting through the solar wind like blades. Some rays appear to fire as if launched from a hidden mechanism. Others bend through space in such unusual arcs that even veteran researchers replayed the footage in disbelief. But one detail stunned everyone. Jets aimed directly toward the sun. Jets pushing against solar radiation. This alone broke the scientific community's composure, because comet jets should always be pushed away from the sun, not straight into it. Yet 3I Atlas continued to violate every rule that centuries of comet science had established. And the strangeness didn't begin here. Months earlier, 3I Atlas unexpectedly accelerated, shifted color in ways that contradicted its known chemistry, survived a near-destructive passage close to the sun, and then emerged brighter and more active, as if signaling that its story was entering a new chapter. As the public tried to process the first images, the next batch only made the situation more bizarre. When the November 11 photos were released, scientists were stunned to see jets firing directly from the nucleus, rigid, directional, and powerful. These weren't gentle plumes drifting outward. They appeared to push against solar wind pressure, a phenomenon that physics models firmly stated should not happen. The solar wind is one of the most powerful forces in a star system, hurling charged particles across space at hundreds of kilometers per second. Yet the new images show 3I Atlas cutting directly through that storm, sustained by an unknown, steady source of energy. Some jets arc elegantly along magnetic field lines. Others disperse into faint fans, hinting at multiple interacting forces. But the biggest shock came when experts noticed several jets moving toward the sun. According to established science, solar heat vaporizes cometary ice and pushes material away from the sun. Jets flowing in the opposite direction imply a force strong enough to overpower solar radiation, a scenario never before documented. And then there was the brightness of the jets, not soft like evaporating gases, but sharp, dense, almost structured, suggesting heavier particles or an energy process beyond natural sublimation. And crucially, the images were raw. No simulations, no processing, no enhancements. Just direct telescope captures. As dynamic simulations ran, confusion skyrocketed. For a natural comet to produce jets this powerful, 3I Atlas would need to eject billions of tons of material. Given its size, that would obliterate it instantly, which left scientists with two improbable explanations. A previously unknown physical mechanism is operating, or some form of unnatural force is shaping the jets. Theories erupted instantly. Some speculated that 3I Atlas might be an artificial structure, a technology probe, or even a remnant of an extraterrestrial civilization. Others suspected that world powers were quietly tracking it, fearing that it could represent technology capable of altering the balance of space-based military power. Even economic analysts began whispering, if 3I Atlas were artificial, it could trigger a seismic shock in global energy, communication, and defense sectors. More extreme ideas wondered whether an unknown force was guiding 3I Atlas, a propulsion system, a magnetic drive, or some technology capable of overpowering solar wind itself. If true, the geopolitical implications would be profound. Any system capable of reversing solar wind pressure would fundamentally change the strategies of every nation with space ambitions. After mapping the entire jet structure, Loeb's team proposed two theoretical explanations, but both raised more questions than answers. One thing became increasingly undeniable. The deeper scientists looked, the harder it became to reconcile the data with natural explanations. 3I Atlas was no longer just a comet. It had become a puzzle the universe was daring humanity to solve. 3I Atlas seemed to be concealing far more than it was revealing, and its unfolding tale was clearly only at its beginning. As researchers continued dissecting the bizarre jets erupting from 3I Atlas, the growing stack of data forced them into a corner. Two primary explanations remained. There was no avoiding it anymore. Something had to account for this impossible behavior, and as the physics was analyzed piece by piece, two competing scenarios rose to the surface. The first possibility was straightforward in theory, but unsettling in implication. 3I Atlas may have undergone a massive breakup. If the object had fractured into many smaller bodies, the fresh surfaces newly exposed to space would vent gas and dust much more easily. More surface area would naturally mean more active jets, matching the observation of 7 or more powerful beams erupting outward. In such a case, 3I Atlas wouldn't behave like a single nucleus at all. It would act like a swarm of mini-comets, each fragment serving as its own tiny engine pushing out material into space. That alone could explain the intensity and diversity of the jets without requiring a single monolithic source doing all the work. To support this fragmentation idea, astronomers would need to watch for the pieces gradually drifting apart. A debris cluster cannot stay perfectly bound forever. Tiny differences in velocity or direction, along with the relentless push of the solar wind, would eventually spread the fragments. Even the faintest separation, a scattering of bright points, would strengthen the case. Under that scenario, the explosive jets seen now would simply be the combined activity of numerous smaller nuclei operating together, rather than one hyperactive body. But the second theory was far stranger and far more controversial: non-thermal jets. These would not be normal vents releasing material warmed by sunlight. Instead, the energy would come from something stronger: plasma surges, electromagnetic disturbances, or sharply directed bursts behaving less like natural comet exhaust and more like controlled outflows. The concept sounded extreme, yet the shapes of the jets made it hard to dismiss. Many were too straight, too narrow, too refined. They shot outward like precision beams. Even small amounts of matter, if fired at tremendous speeds, could create thrust comparable to propulsion systems engineered here on Earth. Their crisp form, their length, their unwavering direction, none of it matched the chaotic swirling plumes produced by ordinary comet outgassing. This model didn't imply intentional engineering, it didn't claim artificial origin, it simply acknowledged that the jets from 3I Atlas looked disturbingly similar to directed streams rather than random vents. These two frameworks, one rooted in natural breakup, the other in high-energy, non-thermal forces, remained the most workable interpretations. Both fit parts of the data, neither explains everything, and both demand continued monitoring as 3I Atlas drifts farther from the sun, taking its mysteries with it. Yet while scientists debated, other voices filled the silence. Stories began to emerge, strange ones. People whispered about unseen forces, about symbols written in the sky, about something more than physics shaping this event. Some believed the patterns in the jets were too deliberate, too synchronized. Not mere cosmic accident, but the beginning of a story waiting to be told in the firmament itself. The November 11th images of 3I Atlas shockingly deepen the enigma. They didn't just capture an icy body. They exposed the phenomenon intricate enough to force the scientific world to reconsider principles they once thought unshakable. The jets blazing from 3I Atlas varied wildly. Some stretched outward in long, luminous pillars, sharp as plasma lances. Others curved mid-flight or stopped abruptly, as if hitting an invisible barrier. The diversity was too great to chalk up to simple turbulence. What stunned experts most was the orientation of several jets. They were firing back toward the sun. According to established physics, solar heat pushes cometary material away from the star. Jets reversing direction violated the core of the thermal model. For that to happen, something else, something unknown, had to be exerting force. Perhaps an exotic electromagnetic field, perhaps a distortion in local space, or perhaps something entirely new. Some bold theorists propose that these bursts were directional, almost communicative in their geometry, kinematic signals written in light. The perplexities didn't stop there. Even under the ferocious battering of the solar wind, many jets remained aerostraight, implying immense momentum or extraordinarily energized plasma, states typically produced only in advanced laboratories or experimental propulsion arrays. At the heart of 3I Atlas, a dense, brilliant column of gas created even deeper confusion. If the object had truly fragmented, the thick plume could be the overlapping emissions of multiple pieces stacked along our line of sight. But if it had not broken apart, then an intact nucleus generating such a bizarre range of jets would challenge every known rule in comet science. From this point, ideas outside the comfort zone of conventional astronomy began to emerge. Some speculated that 3I Atlas was not purely natural, that it might be partly artificial, or perhaps the ruins of a probe long buried beneath cosmic dust. Others noted that the bursts resembled orbital correction pulses, echoes of guidance systems used on space stations. But what pushed 3I Atlas into the realm of cosmic legend were its colors. The electric blues, vivid reds, deep violets, and piercing whites did not match any known comet spectrum. Some hues only appear in ultra-ionized plasma or high-energy propulsion chambers. That led to suggestions of rare elements at play, unstable materials, or even traces of technology foreign to human engineering. A few argue that an energy event had detonated inside the object. Others claim the colors were the glow of an inner system awakening as 3I Atlas drew near the sun. Whatever the truth may be, one reality stood firm and undeniable. 3I Atlas is unlike anything we have ever seen.
3I Atlas is no longer seen as a mere anomaly drifting through the void. It feels more like a message from somewhere far beyond, an encoded whisper from the deep cosmos, forcing humanity to confront the possibility that we may be brushing up against knowledge we were never meant to ignore, or a presence we have never acknowledged. The colors of 3I Atlas quickly became the center of global fascination when the November 11 images revealed the object shining in an eerie electric blue-green glow. Unlike the familiar hues of ordinary comets, the spectrum here formed a chemical riddle. In astronomy, color is a fingerprint, each hue an identifier of the elements within. But in this case, the colors only deepened the mystery. The powerful blue intensity hinted at ionized nickel, energized carbon chains, and interactions with the solar wind that resembled plasma rather than simple dust evaporation. Such features are extraordinarily rare, especially at the distances where 3I Atlas was observed. The presence of nickel in temperatures too low to vaporize it led some scientists to wonder if 3I Atlas might contain an internal heat source or be composed of materials utterly unlike any known comet. Its cold metallic shimmer and strikingly energetic glow made it appear less like a passive lump of ice and more like some sort of structured object or active plasma system. This fueled a growing hypothesis that 3I Atlas may contain exotic metallic compounds forged in extreme environments far beyond the reaches of the Milky Way's calm regions, potentially making it one of the oldest cosmic visitors humanity has ever encountered. While the conclusions are not yet firm, the chemical traces alone are enough to announce something unmistakable. 3I Atlas is profoundly unlike the comets we thought we understood. As investigators zoomed in further, they detected 7 distinct jets emerging from fixed positions on the surface, each aligned with the object's rotational cycle. The symmetry was too deliberate, too consistent to be the product of random sublimation. Some of the patterns even appeared prearranged, as if the vents followed a blueprint carved deep within the structure. Many of these jets retained perfectly straight trajectories despite the violent pushback of the solar wind, suggesting that their momentum vastly exceeded what a natural comet could generate. The gas cloud surrounding 3I Atlas remained unusually stable, implying that the object was charging or manipulating plasma in ways unseen in the history of cometary observation. Piece by piece, the clues forced astronomers to question whether 3I Atlas was really a comet or something more enigmatic. Every shred of data now points to one undeniable truth. 3I Atlas is interacting with the solar environment in ways never documented before. And as it approaches perihelion, both scientists and skeptics are bracing for what December 19 may reveal. That day has become the cosmic threshold, the moment when telescopes across Earth and space will have their clearest view. The central question: will 3I Atlas remain whole, or will it show signs of fragmentation? Unusual gas flows and strange directional jets hint at multiple fragments, yet current images lack the clarity to confirm. If several bright points separate during observation, the fragmentation theory will finally gain traction. But if 3I Atlas remains a single, unified body, the mystery will intensify, because no current physical model can explain how one object could produce a jet system so powerful, sharp, and varied. Scientists will be watching the jets closely. If they remain straight, strong, and unaffected by solar wind, the argument that 3I Atlas possesses internal energy systems, not just passive ice, will gain enormous momentum. If the jets weaken and become more comet-like, the puzzle narrows, though the strange events recorded so far can't be dismissed. The color will also be under scrutiny. If the blue-green glow deepens or the metallic spectral lines strengthen, the chemical composition of 3I Atlas may force astrophysics to reconsider the cosmic environments where such objects can form. If the colors fade, the phenomenon may prove temporary, but no less intriguing. The orbit will be analyzed with precision. A purely gravitational object follows predictable paths, but if electromagnetic or non-thermal forces influence 3I Atlas, its orbit may continue drifting in subtle ways. December 19 is the day to determine whether previous deviations were mere calculation errors or traces of something unknown steering the object. And yes, safety is part of the watch list. Should fragments accompany 3I Atlas into near-Earth space, telescopes will detect them. It doesn't imply danger, but it requires vigilance. All signs converge toward one breathtaking truth: the jets, the colors, the structured geometry, the defiance of the solar wind, the hints of electric charge, and the orbital anomalies. Together, they form a picture both clearer and more perplexing with every passing hour. December 19 may not simply reveal a comet. It may unveil the most anticipated cosmic mystery of our era. From the latest imaging, 3I Atlas behaves nothing like a typical comet. As it drifted away from the sun, it released multiple jets shooting in sharp, irregular directions, some even angled back towards the sun. The speeds, brightness, and geometry varied wildly. Some jets carved straight past through the solar wind, undisturbed as if propelled by forces well beyond ordinary outgassing. This kind of behavior suggests heavy particles, strong plasma activity, or forces far more dynamic than evaporating ice. Two explanations dominate the debate. One, fragmentation, numerous pieces emitting their own jets. Two, non-thermal emissions, jets driven by plasma or electromagnetic energy. The organization of the jet positions suggests a structured surface, possibly containing vents or angular designs rarely if ever seen in natural comets. The blue-green glow of 3A Atlas adds yet another layer. The color may arise from ionized nickel or unusual carbon compounds, pointing to a chemistry not typical of comets born within our solar system. As the decisive day approaches, scientists continue monitoring the jets, the colors, the structure, and the orbit. Whatever 3i Atlas is, it serves as a stark reminder. Real science begins when the universe refuses to play by the rules. And so before December 19 arrives, make sure you're subscribed and the notifications are on, because what happens next could become part of cosmic history.